Chad Wesley-Smith here for Juggernaut Training Systems, joined by a very special duo of women today, Miss Marisa Inda.
Hola.
And the baddest bitch in the world, Kimberly Walford.
Hello.
You're the best female powerlifter of all time, and 2 of the IPF's top 10 current lifters. So very lucky to have these 2 ladies with us today. She is 4-time IPF world champion. We'll be looking for her 5th title in June in Texas this year. She is the world record holder in the deadlift in the 63 kilo class and the 72 kilo class. She has the highest deadlift ever by Wilks, 535 pounds at 151 body weight, and has the total record in the 72 kilo class as well. She's pretty good at picking stuff up. So, Kim, thanks for coming all the way out here to California just so you could do this interview with us.
It's the only reason she's here.
Pretty much. I had to come visit these 2. I live in Bayonne, New Jersey.
Bayonne, New Jersey.
It's easier just to say 20 minutes from New York City, so nobody knows.
What are some of the places you train at?
Oh, I like Coliseum in Queens. That's one of my favorites. I just started training at Chiseled Fitness. That's another one. It's in northern New Jersey. So it's mainly where I've been training.
And you're your own coach, correct?
Yeah.
Is that a tough thing for you to do, or?
I know it's tough dealing with me, so I don't know. No, it's not.
Do you think that no one else could handle it?
Actually, how it started is that my coach Gene Bell. He's been my coach my whole career, but he's more of a mentor role now. So because he's the one who actually taught me how to write my own programs, so I still refer back to him. Like he still checks in on me and he still asks me how you're doing. Matter of fact, I got a text from him yesterday asking how's training. So even though I write my own programs, I still refer to him if I have questions. So my coach Gene Bell's a multi-time IPF world champion, Open and Masters. He's one of the best 181, 198 lifters in history. And he's also Ian Bell's father, who's also one of the up-and-coming best lifters as well. IPF junior champion as well, multi-time. So.
You're competing in raw and single ply. Do you have a preference?
I lift primarily raw now, but I still have a love for equipped lifting. So I guess I'll just say primarily raw. I lift primarily raw.
What do you think are some of the unique challenges to each one?
With equipment, it's getting used to the equipment. People get out there and they think they could just buy stuff and then put it on all of a sudden they're Superman, Superwoman, but you have to literally take probably, I'd say, maybe at least 1 to 2, sometimes 3 cycles to get used to equipment, learning what it feels like to have your knees wrapped and having to wait maybe 30 seconds to a minute before you can actually lift. I mean, that's definitely the challenges with equipment. Also having to make adjustments in the equipment over cycles. With raw, even though it's just as difficult with regards to training, it's easier because I don't have to worry about logging equipment and getting used to equipment and getting used to knee wraps and everything else. But difficult in the sense you're still putting in the same amount of work ethic and hard work to get through a cycle. It's just you don't have to worry about getting used to equipment in addition to everything else. I started official powerlifting would be when I was in the Air Force. One of my training buddies, there was a gym meet, bench meet, and I told him like I really wasn't into that kind of stuff. I just like working out, and he convinced me, and then I did it, and I won, and I just got hooked, and I started researching everything I could about powerlifting.
The international competitions you've gotten to do, what's been your favorite one?
Australia / New Zealand. I was blessed to get invited back to, I did the Commonwealth one year, and it was an amazing experience because it was when I finally realized like I was happy with where my deadlift was and I was able to break the all-time record. It was one of my proudest moments because I knew how hard I had worked that cycle. Just being there and the fact that it was such a long meet as well, being there to help encourage other lifters, I just had a blast and the country is great. So,
do you feel like there's better treatment competing abroad versus competing in the U.S.?
I feel like they have a better appreciation because it feels like they consider us more of an Olympic sport there. I kind of feel like that's the impression I get from being over there versus here. It's like we're trying to get to that level, but we just don't know when it's going to happen. So hopefully eventually at some point.
How do you feel about that kind of divide that some people try and create, between like USAPL, IPF lifting?
There's enough variety for you to choose how you want to lift. As long as you understand, like, if we lift a certain way this way and you lift a certain way that way, that you stick to those guidelines. I think personally there's only an issue when lifters try and lift on the other side. I think we get it quite clearly here, what I'm trying to say. So I feel as long as there's a mutual respect for what we're all doing and how we do it, we won't have any issues.
What's a regular training week look like for you?
Regardless of where I am in the cycle, is I squat 2 to 3 times a week, I bench 2 to 3 times a week, and I pull only once a week. And the reason why I say 2 to 3 times a week is it's all depending on my work schedule, and also whether I need an additional day for rest. It may be different for somebody else. I pull once a week because I feel like you just need additional rest to recover.
So if you can give advice to these, 20, 21, the girls coming up out of juniors and stuff, or if you could go back in time and give yourself some different advice, what would it be?
I've always thought this anyway, but it's not a race. You cannot expect, we all have goals for what we want to accomplish on the platform, but you have to set a plan. You have to realize that 99% of the people are not going to come in there and you're going to be number one. You're going to have to work for it, and you're going to have to take the time to be patient and be resilient and commit yourself to doing it and realizing it's just not going to be easy. I mean, I didn't always win, even though people may think so.
I would just tell young lifters to not neglect building muscle. A lot of times they just focus on the big 3, and then they already end up having knee issues, rotator cuff issues, and it's like, spend some time building some muscle. It takes time, especially as a woman. Obviously don't have testosterone levels that guys have, so you just have to be consistent and spend some time doing some bodybuilding movements. May not look as pretty on Instagram, but when you have muscle behind you, muscle's going to move weight, so do some curls.
Bars loaded, 530 pounds on the bar. What's going through your head?
Thinking about everything I've done to get me to that point. I'm thinking about any negative influence in my life that may have irritated me. I'm thinking about the haters and the naysayers, and that I'm ready to prove them wrong. I'm thinking about the people that I inspire and who support me, and I support them. And then all those things in those milliseconds is what's going through my head. And I'm ready. I'm just ready to do this.
Since you're in the number 1 spot, which is always the hardest position to hold, do you feel like pressure or expectation going into meets? Because there's always people that now, clamoring for your spot.
I block it out. I just tell myself that I live one meet at a time, because I don't need to be thinking about anything else that's going to put more pressure on me. I just want to focus on squat, bench, deadlift.
What's coming up next for you?
Next, we got the Arnold at the end of the month, so I'll be doing the pro deadlift equipped.
What's your best equipped deadlift? 562?
Yeah, 562. Yeah,
that's a real fan. She didn't even tell me that before we started either. I just knew. So make sure to check her out at TrackFoo on Instagram, Kimberly Walford fan page on Facebook. Sweetest, strongest person you could ever hope to know.
Oh man,
he's gonna get a big hug for that one.